Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind Podcast, a podcast for estate professionals who earn more, work less, and make a huge difference in their communities. If you get value out of this free content, be sure to check out probatemastery.com, where you can get live classes, access to weekly coaching, and valuable courses. To learn more, visit probatemastery.com. Now let's jump into this week's content. So this is the Estate Professionals Mastermind weekly coaching call and mastermind. We're here to answer any probate, estate, life transition type questions. So why do I open up by saying estate, probate, life transitions? When you're in this space, you end up getting so many connecting chain links to the probate space. So we are working in the probate space because for the most part, that's where we get our data. That's where you have public records. But the reality is there are so many more properties that are transferred inside of families that are inherited that don't have to go through probate. And that's what we kind of call the life transitions. So a lot of times you have the elderly normally that are setting up trusts for themselves and for their families. In some cases, you have folks that wanted to age in place. I don't remember the data. It's inside of Probate Mastery, but you've got a huge percentage of baby boomers right now that are planning on living out their days at home. A much lower percentage actually do that. So a lot of times they end up moving into assisted living, skilled nursing. They might end up moving in with family, and those pieces of real estate get transferred before there was a plan. So in building out your business, we're building it out for probate first, but we need to recognize that so much comes before there's a loss in the family. A lot of it comes as a transfer on death. There may be a transfer on death deed, or there may be a right of survivorship deed, and real estate transfers outside of probate. So I want you guys to think, you being here, you're not only here for the probate. You are here to build a service-based business around this life transition space. And if that means that someone inherits a property through trust, then you need to be a service to them. If it means that they inherit property through probate, you need to be a service to them. If they have a family member that's aging that has decided that it's time to not try to stay at home any longer, you need to provide a service for them as well. And that's what we're all about. So when I mention that we're not only about probate, that's what I mean. If you do a great job in this space promoting your business, promoting the services, making the lives of the families that you're serving easier, you're going to get so much business outside of a probate list. Okay, you're going to be a greater good to families outside of a probate list. And that's what we're all about. And I'm all about teaching you guys how to do that. So if you don't know, we do this every Tuesday. It is 2 o'clock here on the East Coast. Again, I thank those of you that are here for being here out west. You guys, it's 11 o'clock every Tuesday. If you don't know how to join, and maybe you're listening after the fact and want to join one of our Tuesday masterminds and coaching sessions in the future, head on over to probatemastery.com. Up on the top of the page in the menu, it's going to say something like free coaching and training. I want you to click that and register to attend the next free Tuesday coaching call. We're here to answer your questions. I also want to hear success stories and wins and what you're excited about as well. Sometimes these turn into, hey, this was a challenge, that was a challenge, I ran into this objection, someone yelled at me, things like that. It can turn into that from time to time. I want to hear those because we can a lot of times help you navigate through the challenges in this business. But I want to hear what you're excited about as well. What win did you have? Did you do any business? Did you get a listing? And process-based questions as well. So treat this like your little mini version of Probate Mastery. Speaking of which, Probably the only commercial for today. If you are not a certified probate expert, go to probatemastery.com and sign up for the probate mastery class. You can get your designation and become a certified probate expert. It's more than 15 hours of really good training on how to build these niches into your existing real estate practice. So what do you guys have for me today? Any questions that you guys want to start off with? Any exciting pieces of information or success stories you want to start off with? Just go to the bottom and click on Zoom changed on me. There should be a reactions button, and on that reactions button, it's a little heart now. Um, you should be able to raise your hand. Man. Um, okay, Noriel, thanks. You're the first up.
Thanks, Bruce. I mean, I guess
I
I'll
don't know
start
if
with some
you're
of the.
speaking or not, but I can't
Can
hear you.
Can't hear me? No.
There you go.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Great. I'll start with the positive. We are closing on. I say we, me, and my business partner, we're closing on a probate next week. It was a local PR person who received our letters, and she has two rental properties. I think a duplex and a triplex. So the triplex is on the market as well. We just got an offer on that. So hopefully in the next week or two we can close one and then get the other one into escrow. So
Amazing. Okay. So you've got the duplex under contract and the triplex hopefully
we
next
have
week.
an offer in from a VA loan offer. So we got to present
Perfect.
that and see how that goes.
And that came from cold mail, is that correct?
Cold mail. Yeah. So Philip, I think mailed started it had one call and then just did the cold mail, and his feedback was that the PR felt they've talked a lot over the last few months. He's like, I've never talked to her. I just sent her letters.
Hmm.
So it seems like the letters resonated with her.
Awesome. Yeah. It's funny, back when I was doing radio, I'll never forget one day, someone called in and we were heavy running radio advertisements, and someone called in, and I always would ask people, "How'd you hear about us?" I knew. I knew because the phone number on the radio specifically was only devoted to radio. So I already know. I just like to know where people think they heard. And she said, "Hey, I see your billboards all over town." And we didn't have any billboards. So
Mhm.
sometimes people, you just kind of reach that saturation moment with someone, and
Yeah.
maybe they've seen YouTube, maybe they've seen you on social media, potentially a little bit more difficult and unlikely, but they might have seen your blogs and your website and your mailers and different things like that, and they just think that you've had conversations. So
Yeah.
great
So
job.
that leads me to I guess to the question is, now that we feel we want to go more into direct mail and we have our templates, and how do you keep track? I know you can use a CRM, but is there any specific tools that you use to keep track of what letters are going out and what letters stage they're in, or how are you keeping track of those warm leads?
After you've had a dialogue.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, you could put them in a CRM. Quite honestly, I'm just going to use a spreadsheet. So that's just me. I like to track people on a form, a sheet where I can see them at all times. There was a time when I used to have a painted wall, whiteboard painted wall, and I would just put everyone onto that wall, and I'd have like tape marked off, and it looked really good. But I'd put their name, which marketing piece had gone out. So,
Mhm.
like I know my warm marketing pieces, what they are and what sequence they're going to go in. So under that marketing piece, I just tell myself what already went out and what needs to go next. Um,
Yep.
and basically I keep track of it that way. Now CRMs will do that as well, but for me, I don't tend to complicate it a whole lot. Let me show you guys something. And for those listening after the fact, I apologize to you guys. You're not going to be able to see this, but everyone that's here live or watching on YouTube. So if you're listening to the podcast and you want to get a visual representation of what I'm putting up, you might jump over to our Probate Mastery YouTube channel, and I am going to show you guys something that we use for coaching sometimes. All right, I just shared. Let's see how fast this pops up. Okay, so what I like to do is we have conversations. The very first thing I'm looking for when we have a dialogue with someone is I'm looking to get permission to send them some resources. I find that sending you resources is the best way to present that. Send you information on what I do, how I help. What I do and how I help, those are good. You're likely to get people that say, yeah. But the word resources just tends to kind of make them feel better about getting something in the mail or email. So that's the first thing that I want on the phone. Typically for me, before I've even really brought real estate up. Now I'm going to try to bring real estate up uh, a little bit later on in that conversation. But first things first, do I have your permission to send you some resources? Yes. At that point, I move them in because I generally know that there is real estate. I move them into a lead pipeline. So this is a little bit of a representation of what I used on my whiteboard. I do not have a column for which piece of mail just went and which needs to go next, but I think that that would be really good to add to this. But I will basically put the prospect name, the status, are they red hot, meaning they told me that there's a house to sell and they have a short-term time frame to sell. Are they warm? They're probably going to sell a house, but it's not really, really soon. Are they a nurture? Nurtures are the people that say, I don't know yet. Are they a farm? So I don't have farm on here. Farm are the people that we just didn't get to the real estate discussion, but they did agree that I could send them information. So I know they have a house, but maybe we didn't make it that far in the dialogue. So I'll just give them that. I'll tell myself what my next phone follow-up date needs to be when I think that their closing time frame is. So this is all subjective. This is based on an anecdotal conversation, okay? So I'm giving myself an estimate of when the closing time frame is what property address that I know of, if we've talked about it, or maybe I'm just going off tax records, and how much I stand to make. So if you're an agent, this is a little bit easier if you lean toward listing more often, how much you stand to make. And what I want to do is just put everyone in here, even if you didn't dig deep into that relationship yet, even if you think I've got a 10% chance of getting these, I want to see what the potential business income is. And if you're looking at this every day, you're not going to lose people. I want you to recognize how much money over time is in your pipeline from probate. Now, Noriel, I would take something like this and I would add a column for um, last warm mail touch and next warm mail touch. You might even add, let's pretend that you have 6 warm mail touches. You might even add 6 columns with a checkbox and say check,
Yeah,
check, check across the board on what you've already sent. Okay.
perfect.
So
Yeah.
that's certainly doable as well. So you might want to use something like this. This is Monday.com. Um, I I'm a fan of Monday.com. Um, there's plenty of CRMs that can do this. Monday is good because you can just kind of build your own trackers in. Okay. Does that help, Noriel?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Hey guys, I'm butting in here with a quick ask. If you're getting value out of this coaching today, I want to invite you to check out my Probate Mastery trainings over at www.probatemastery.com. Probate Mastery is for you if you're an agent or an investor that wants to work with motivated sellers that have inherited real estate that they don't need and in many cases can't afford. These sellers are more appreciative, willing to trust your expertise, and less likely to nickel and dime you over commission or price. Why is that? They're often in the middle of a complex probate or an estate administration process. And this means that real estate is very often a burden on them and they simply need the help. Inside of Probate Mastery, I teach you exactly where to source your leads, how to establish value, and offer your service in a way that quickly makes you, as the professional, your market's expert in the probate space. If you want to know a little bit more, go over to www.probatemastery.com. Hope to see you guys inside of the community. Thanks. Oliver, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, Bruce.
Hey.
This week I got a guardianship case that came up, and there's quite a sizable portfolio, real estate portfolio that they have. Problem is it's in foreclosure. And so the attorney is working on trying to get this, to, I guess, get it out of foreclosure. The ward has severe dementia, and that's why, bills weren't getting paid. And he's also, the attorney is trying to manage all of these properties. I tried to advise him it's probably not in his best interest to try to manage these because I said with this many tenants, it is like a full-time job. I just didn't know where my place is to really try to step in and get involved because yes, I would love for this to come about where we get an opportunity to list this property and or sell it off market. I would already have investors lined up to double in this, but end of the day, if it gets foreclosed on, then the whole deal is sunk. So I just didn't know what your experiences or recommendations trying to help get this out of foreclosure.
Well, there's a lot to unpack here beyond just let's get it out of foreclosure. So, is there a foreclosure date?
Not that I'm aware of yet, because it's very new. So we're kind of diving into this. My advice, I think there is certain counsel that helps people get cases out of foreclosure.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you're going to want to go to the foreclosure trustee. In some cases, that's an attorney. So find out who that is. Now, this is the attorney. The attorney that's handling it is the one that should do that now, assuming you don't get the listing or the deal somehow. It should, if there's not a foreclosure date, then it should be relatively simple. Someone just needs to chase down the trustee. Attorney to attorney is always going to carry some weight that agent to attorney might not carry. If it's agent to attorney, I would have a listing in hand or a pre-listing agreement in hand and basically say, hey, here's the plan with this. Can I get a foreclosure date and what do I need to do next? And basically just include them in the conversation. How many doors is this? So you mentioned kind of a portfolio.
24 doors.
24 doors. Are they, is it multifamily or all single family?
All multifamily.
All multifamily. So how many total buildings?
About 6 total buildings.
Okay, got it. And the attorney that is kind of handling things right now, has he mentioned that selling is something that they're going to need to do, or is it just way too early for him to decide that?
He thinks selling is probably the right thing to do here. And so I think that's what he's leaning towards.
Mm-hmm.
There's a side of me that kind of thinks that he is trying to retain management of this to make additional fees because he keeps talking about this is like a big opportunity for him. And I was just cautioning him. I said, without any type of management experience, you trying to go and track down all these tenants, get their information, get utilities and leases and collect rent payments and I deal with their problems. I said, you're signing up for something you don't want to sign up for.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, he kind of thinks he's going to try it out. I'm like, just careful, tread water on that, in my experience. And so I think he's kind of waking up to that fact because he is having a hard time right now just collecting the rents.
Mm-hmm.
And as we can't collect rents, we can't pay the mortgage and it gets further and further behind. So that's where we're at.
So this is one of those things. Number one is I want to find out if there's a foreclosure date. That's first and foremost. I want to provide as much value to the attorney in a case like this as possible. I'm going to steer away from providing a lot of advice to attorneys unless they're a close friend.
He's a close friend. I have that kind of permission.
Great.
Like we know each other from college, so it's something that's a little bit
Great.
more informal relationship that I can talk with
Okay.
him on.
Let's use this for a potential future deal or something that anyone else might run into. In general, with most attorneys, they're gonna kind of look at us and our experience normally down their nose a little bit. And so, what I'm often not trying to do is go in and flex my expertise and my experience to the attorney. Um, in most situations. Again, not Oliver's. Okay. Now, typically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a conversation with the attorney and just ask, hey, are you trying to keep management of the properties and kind of build a little bit of a management income here, or is it something that you think that you'll end up letting go? And just kind of present this binary choice and see which way they go. Maybe they ask a question, and once they've started asking questions, then I can open up and start sharing my advice and opinion. But normally I don't do that until there's some questions asked, but I will bait the question. I'll bait the question. Instead of saying, hey, I don't think you want to manage these properties, I'll say, hey, do you want to manage the properties? Do you want to take on the job of managing the properties and maybe make a little bit of extra income every month? Or and so I'm baiting it, but I'm choosing my words. Do you want to take on the job of managing the property and maybe make a little bit of extra income? And if, I'm not emphasizing it like that, but I'm trying to just plant these little seeds in their head. And then say if this is something that may be sold, do you want me to reach out to the foreclosure trustee? Okay. See if there's any kind of date, or do you want to do that? So almost everything I do is I'm going to present in a binary way. Do you want to, or do you want me to? Do you want to keep management, or do you want to sell? And I'm just going to give these typically binary choices to anyone that I'm talking to, including attorneys. And I know that there's a lot of nuance here, and they could come with another option that you really haven't thought about. But for the most part, they're going to choose one of the two that you've presented. And
Yeah.
what I want you to do is just kind of guide them down the path where you're presenting options that you basically already know the answer to. If this wasn't your friend, then you would really be taking them down this path to where you can start providing the advice that they need. Now that it's your friend, you're already there. How
Yeah.
to stop the foreclosure, get a listing agreement in place. Make sure that
Okay.
there's not a foreclosure date next week. If you have a listing agreement or a purchase agreement in place, then and it's not, and you're not out of time, then almost any foreclosure trustee is gonna delay and cooperate with you.
Yeah, there's plenty of equity here. So it's like, once it closes, the bank's gonna get made whole. It's not a short sale scenario. So
Mhm.
I feel like we should be able to work that out. So yeah, I think it's important to find that date, find out foreclosure trustee is, and then have a listing agreement in place. So all that sounds good. Last question, this kind of totally different subject. When you're going back to your Monday.com and your CRM, you're building out these mailing campaigns. Is there any automation to it? Because I feel like specifically where I'm from, there's hundreds of cases that come up on a month, and if I'm mailing out hundreds of people a month, how to keep it without manually going into that CRM and saying I mailed this date, because that stuff's so tedious to me to go in and like manually change all that. So I don't know if there's any type of automation to any of this.
Mm-hmm. There's going to be a handful of people that have their mailers on automation on this call. If you have your mailer on automation on this call, I want you to raise your hand. Specifically, if you're not using all the leads. Okay, if you're using all the leads, I'm going to speak about them really quickly first. Before I talk about the automation, I want to differentiate warm mail marketing versus cold mail marketing. If it's warm, I'm holding it. I'm keeping up with who gets what. And it's not going to be a lot of pieces any given day. So if we've had a conversation, they're getting some high value stuff from me. They're not just getting a postcard and a letter stuffed in a number 10 envelope. They're going to get packets with CMAs and checklists and brochures and different things, and things like that'll go out a multitude of times. But it's not going to be a whole list of 200 people either. If it's
Okay.
cold and you're blanketing every single person on your lead list, all the leads has a pretty good automation system. You just go in and say whether they're in or they're out of that particular campaign, so you could cut them down. I don't know where you're. Actually, I do know. I think you said that you're um, pulling yourself, I think. So all the leads is pretty good if you're getting leads from them.
Yeah, I haven't signed up with anybody yet. And so what you're saying, the leads is like, contracting one of these data brokers for probate services so we can find out some data. I don't know
Mhm.
how accurate a lot of these phone numbers they'll give us are, but I know you kind of maybe have to go through trial and error to find the best data.
Sure. I feel like their data is generally better than the other data brokers. And they've got some systems specifically with mail in place as well, websites, things like that. Um, there's several of them. I find on theirs that it's around 90% of your leads are going to have a good number that they give you, but they're going to give you three or four numbers with each lead. And that means that 75% of the numbers that they give you won't be good, but one of them
I
will.
have used dialers in the past, so like maybe registering with a Mojo dialer or Red X and dumping the leads in there and making call blocks, during the week.
Anybody that's doing that with Mojo or Vulcan 7 or any kind of dialer where you're doing that, please raise your hand. Specifically, if you're getting leads from a data broker that give you multiple numbers and multiple contacts. Personally, I find the mapping by getting all the leads, I find the mapping to be extremely complex because let's take Mojo, for example. Mojo will typically let you put one lead, one contact, one or two phone numbers. But when that phone number dials, it's going to show you the lead name. It won't necessarily show you the additional contact name unless you've really gone through a bunch of extra steps to map really well. But with all the leads, and most of the data providers, they'll usually give you the personal representative with two or three phone numbers. They'll give you two or three additional heirs with one or two phone numbers for each heir. And so when you're doing an auto dial through like a Mojo or a Vulcan, that number pops up and you don't know which heir you're calling at all. So mapping with Mojo when you've got lead lists like that, a little bit complex. Personally, what I like to do is go a little bit slower through the first round. First round, go a little bit slower. I pull up the property that the decedent lived in. I double check and make sure that it still seems like it's in the family. We're talking 10 or 15 seconds. I don't
Mhm.
dig deep. I just want to see if decedent property seems to be owned by the family. If it is, I'm going to manually dial it. Once I've manually dialed it and kind of confirmed that I've got a working number, then I'll probably move it into my power dialer, but it's going to be a little bit more manual in nature during that first round. Um, and that's kind of the way that I live. There's a lot of people here that do power dialers and they love it. Okay. So if you guys do, tell us how you do it. I've done power dialers. I just find with like an ATL type of lead list, it's a little bit more efficient for me to go slow the first time and then power dial after I've figured out who's who. Back to mail, if you are doing warm mail, I would hold on to it yourself. You're not sending very many pieces out. Warm mail is vitally important. Once you've had a dialogue with someone, it's really important. If they have a house, you got to remember 50% of the time it's going to be sold. Maybe not for a year, maybe next month though, but it's going to be sold half of the time. So those conversations you've had specifically, if you know that there's a house involved, I'm going to kind of farm that person for a while. Instead of doing a traditional farm where maybe 5% of a zip code or a neighborhood lists and sells a house, I know that now I'm farming to a list of where 50% is going to be moving. Some markets respond to cold mailers extremely well, really well. Other markets don't respond to cold mailers very well. All right. What do you guys have? Courtney Rollins, what's going on with you this week? Your hand is up. Actually, Courtney, you don't have to go. Saved by the bell.
So,
Liz. Yeah. And I always say lose, Luz. I always get it wrong. You're gonna have to tell me. You're gonna have to correct me. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, you guys can call me Lucy. It's more easy.
Lucy. All right,
Yes.
perfect.
So today I want to celebrate a victory. I just finished the course and I think it's amazing. And thank you, Bruce, for all you're doing. I am so want to do this with all my heart and the compassion that I feel. And so I did two things today. I'm not ready yet. I don't have a website or anything like that or my brand name, but you said once that we have to start taking actions. So, to create that momentum.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a neighbor, she has a lot of junk outside, like a big yard sale, but then it has all the things outside has stayed there for like maybe 2 weeks. So I knock on her door and I asked her first if she was selling the home because I'm a realtor too. So, sometimes people sell their things. So she's not selling the home, but she's selling a lot of things that belong to a friend of her that passed away. And then I have a connection with a junk removal person that I met. So I told her that I can help her, that I can, so I connected them. So it happens that she needs to also empty out the other apartment. So it's two things for him. And he's building some apartments and all that, but that's a long story short. But the thing is that I felt very good by helping this lady to get rid of all that stuff. And then I just tell her if there's anything she needs that I can help her. And also I went to 3 title companies just to meet lawyers. 2 of them moved so that I don't have the others, but I was able to go in one of them. And so the gatekeeper, I always remember the cookies. I think it was Shad that mentioned about bringing cookies or somebody did.
Yeah.
So I met the lady on the desk. I told her what I wanted. Very briefly because it was a lot. Because I'm also a notary signing agent, so I can do closings too, and I can give different services to the lawyer, and make connections because I believe that one lawyer can connect to another lawyer, like an estate lawyer and all that, because they all mingle together, like network. So I went to the store and I got him some cookies, and I did that. So let's see if she calls me back. I got the gatekeeper some cookies, so the young girl.
Yeah.
It was funny, but so I am proud that I took some actions today just to lose the fear of, like networking and getting out there.
You guys need to take Lucy's example is no website yet.
Nothing yet.
What else did you say you don't have yet?
Well, I don't have a brand name. I'm
Brand
thinking
name.
about do one that is like that it says a lot in little.
Lucy Rodriguez sounds like a good brand name.
Yeah. I like that too. Love
Yeah.
my name. Yeah. And yeah, I don't have anything set up. But I want to start and I'm going to take actions. So
Yep.
I did that today.
Action. At least figure out what the reaction's going to be. Nobody knows what to adjust and what to change and what tweaks to make until you get feedback from action. So thank you so much, Lucy. Great job.
Thank you.
Job.
And one more thing, the important thing is that I had conversations because some people will say, don't talk to me, but I'm very good at creating rapport because I'm a people person, but they listened to me and I felt welcome I felt received. So that's good though.
Good. And most people are going to receive you. It's a pretty rare person that's not. It's a percentage. It's relatively low. Maybe 2 or 3% are not going to be receptive at all.
Yes.
but most people are pretty receptive, even if they're resistant. So, really good job. Get in more attorneys' offices. Thank you for going to attorneys' offices. One
Yes.
tiny adjustment that I would make, I would call the attorney's office ahead of time.
Okay.
Okay. Are you an investor? No, you're a realtor. You're a realtor.
I'm a realtor. I want to be an investor in the future.
Okay.
I want to create wealth and all that, but one thing at a time.
So the line is when you call attorney's offices is not, I'm a probate expert. Okay. But I'm finding that a lot of my clients are in either going through probate or needing to set up estates and trusts. I'm looking for a great attorney that I might be able to recommend from time to time. Are you open to taking referrals?
Okay.
Okay. What attorney in their right mind is going to say no to that? Unless they're just too busy or
Mhm.
unless they don't believe you. Those are the
Okay.
only two attorneys that are going to say no. Too busy, which is fine. I can live with a no. But I'm trying to position what I ask, whether it to be to an attorney or a lead. I'm trying to position the way that I ask these questions and what I'm offering in a way that it's almost impossible for them to say no. So if it's really easy for an attorney to say no if, hey, I'm a probate specialist and I want to list your clients' houses. That's an easy no. It's not a no from every attorney, but it makes it pretty easy for them to say no. But hey, are you open to new business if I happen to be able to bring you some? Yeah, that's really hard to say no to. Now, what we don't want to do is promise the world and have absolutely no ability to deliver. But you're a realtor, you have a sphere of influence. You should be able to do some content once you make an attorney connection. Maybe you guys do a YouTube video and you put it out promoting your new attorney friend to your audience. Maybe you do a blog. Maybe you do send a referral. Okay, so but that call ahead is very
Okay.
often going to get you in the door. So yes, we are open to new business. Listen, before I let people know about you, I'd like to swing by the office for 10 or 15 minutes someday and see your practice. Is that okay? Now you're in the door. Now you don't have to deal with the gatekeeper because the attorney has said, yes, you can come by and see my practice. And maybe they say, meet me for lunch instead. That's a good
Okay.
second, that's still a good win, even if I don't get to the office. Now, I want to get to the office because I want the other office members to see me. That way, when I go to the office with drop-offs later, the gatekeeper kind of already knows who I am. If if we do a lunch first, the gatekeeper still doesn't know who I am, and if they're kind of a stick in the mud, they're still going to be pretty resistant to a strange face they've never seen. So
Yes.
I'd rather go to the office first.
So I use also because in the pandemic I used to do a lot of closings because like I said I'm a notary signing agent, and that her company coast to coast. I remember doing a lot of closings for that title company because it's a title company. So I use that too. I did closings for this lawyer before, and so that was like just to make that connection. So we'll see. Maybe I did a great job. I never make mistakes or anything like that. So she was laughing.
Yeah.
The gatekeeper, her name is Autumn. Let's call her Autumn.
Okay.
Ask for her name. Yeah. So let's hope she calls me. She wrote I gave her my business card and she's gonna tell the lawyer to call me. So let's
Great.
hope she calls me and I'll let you guys know.
All right. Sounds good. Look forward
Yes,
to the
thank you.
feedback. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Other questions? I picked on Courtney a bit ago. I don't know if you want to unmute yourself. Any updates for the week?
Hey, what's going on, man? Yeah, sorry, I'm just driving. I'm just leaving a seller appointment, the Patriot Circle lead we're talking about.
Great.
Yeah, first of all, Lou's great, awesome job. That sounds great to hear
Thank you.
how much work you're putting in. So that's awesome. Yeah, this one I was hoping to walk away from with the contract in hand. This is definitely a as is cash property is the best thing that the lead needs, but it's going to be a little complicated, like most are, and it just underscores that there's several touches or even more than several touches that come with following up. So I'm actually headed to go find some boxes for her. There are a lot of books in the property, and she needs a little bit of help trying to figure out what to do, and asked me to pick up some from our conversation to pick up some boxes. So yeah, we do what we got to do, and hopefully it
Nice.
helps, and we'll get it locked up, man. But yeah,
Okay. Going the extra mile, providing more value than just here's your contract.
yeah, because she's already talking to a few folks, and you know, it's we're trying to lead with value, right? So we want to do that, but that's also what's going to help us stand out. So yeah.
Is this the lady that I heard the recording on?
Yeah. So she's very communicative. So that's another challenge. I love when people are talking to me, but her, from my humble experience, I know we have a connection, but she also really enjoys talking. Like I was over there for an hour, so it's not because I don't think it's because of my charm. I think it's I could have been
She's a
I could
talker.
have not been there and she's just talking there, but so I have to take that with a grain of salt and just keep blank slating and just continue to ask questions and try to wrap this thing up and get it locked up for.
Good.
Yeah.
Outstanding. All right. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, let's go to Joan.
Hey, Bruce. I just want to say, yeah, I am the perfectionist. And so I just am trying to break through a niche market here in the Washington state. And I don't know if you guys are familiar. There's like 29 Native American tribes here. And so they have some housing challenges, but also for probate. So I'm just starting to kind of break through. My business partner's been struggling with a probate with his brother, and I'm helping with that. And so it's been a long time coming, but I have to be like the perfectionist and try to have everything, worked out. But since I started this probate mastery and got certified, I had some other projects that ended up having to go to litigation. So everything's kind of like slowed me down with doing mail outs and budgets and all that stuff. But in the meantime, I've been able to build the brand, the business and all this stuff kind of behind the scenes. So when I start, moving forward, I kind of know what to do as well, so I'm not overwhelmed. So because I'm kind of like a one woman show here, but I just want to appreciate you too, because you pour in. And I got certified under Chad. He was excellent too. So yeah.
Awesome. Good. Well, I will encourage you to not feel like you need to be as much of a perfectionist because nobody knows. All right.
Okay.
No, but now I've dealt with a few people that aren't very professional, and sometimes there, but you don't strike me as the type of person that's not going to be professional. Um, Guys, if you knew what I don't have done on my end of the business, a lot of you all would laugh or never come back to another class of mine again. Okay. The um, the thing is there's always going to be things that you can add to your business. There's always going to be extra marketing pieces. There's always going to be channels that you can put up. You could always tweak websites. There's tons of things that you can do in your business. It doesn't mean that it all needs to be done now. I started probate at the beginning, probably middle of 2015. And there's a lot of things on my list that aren't done. Now, there's a lot of things on my list that are done. The idea is that you do a little bit at a time. So, for someone like you, Joan, I would encourage you to say, hey, what are the 2 or 3 things that I can get done this week that I will, when they're done this week, I'll live with? And I'm going to give myself permission to take some serious action after these 2 or 3 things are done. And then take action knowing that none of your customers, they're not going to know if you don't have a web page up. You might, but they're not going to know if you don't have a website up. They're not going to know if you don't have a YouTube channel up yet. They're
Okay.
not going to know if you don't have a 12 touch email sequence going out after the fact. They're not going to know if you don't have 6 mail pieces to go out after the fact. They're not going to know if your cold mail is not done. They're not going to know if your brand isn't built yet. Okay. They're not going to know because you're building a personal relationship with them. Now, I want you to do all those things. Have the
I do
YouTube
have
channel
it.
and have the
Yeah,
blog and the webs. Yeah.
I got YouTube, and I do have a brand. I've had that for a while. I just added the probate because I'm a flipper. That's what I originally started, was the flipping. And that's how I got into civil stuff in Seattle, Washington. And then, but I had probate kind of on the side, and I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to kind of bring this in. It's going to fit into the branding, and so I just kind of plugged it in there. And I haven't got any mailers out yet because I'm just kind of not ready. I'm hoping. I'm an investor and not an agent and not cool like you guys. Okay, but anyway, so I had to learn how to do like the MLS, and I can, advertise on that as well. It's like $95. And so I'm just learning to negotiate contracts, and you guys do that every day. So this is, your jam. So I'm just learning this stuff, and I like it, but.
Cool. Oh, we have a lot of investors here that aren't agents too. If you're an investor, not an agent, give us a wave, just so Joan sees how many investors there are that are in the same boat she's in. You're doing good though, Joan. I really thank you for taking action. Thanks for speaking up, and I think that you've got things more together than you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Thank you. All right, Cam, go for it, man. And then we're gonna wrap up with Cam.
I was just raising my hand because you said to her, but yeah, it's been an interesting week. How you doing, first of all, Bruce?
Really good, man.
That's
You?
awesome. Hey, what's up, Courtney? But yeah, it's been interesting. So I mean, thinking outside the box, I went to like the senior citizen center, and then long story short, I'm going to be speaking with my attorney about wills versus trust and Medicaid and stuff like that. I've been referring V, and yeah, I have something under contract. I'm trying to get it to the finish line, and I end up referring. So one of house I was prospecting, she doesn't need anything right now, but I end up referring some ancillary services to her. So hopefully it works out. And just prospecting for now. Right now, I'm really trying to get my language together. That's like my,
Mhm.
my number one thing. I'm really trying to get my language on the phone. But other than that, everything's going good.
Speaking of language on the phone, that's a good segue that anyone that wants to role play tomorrow at what time is it tomorrow? 12:30 Eastern time, 9:30 Pacific. We're doing a role play call. Check your emails for that.
I'll call you back in 2 minutes.
And that'll give anyone an opportunity to put those language skills to the test and make those adjustments. And Cam is someone that I see consistently making adjustments and improving his conversation approach. So you're doing exactly what I mentioned earlier in the call, always adjusting, but not adjusting so much that you don't take action. You have sometimes imperfect calls. And you go, okay, all right, I'll make some adjustments after this. So good job, man.
Thank you.
And
if anybody wants to role play just anytime after that, I'm available. So
great.
yeah, thank you.
Cool. All right, I said Cam was last. Noriel's going to be last. You popped your hand up. Go for it.
You just you want to get your thoughts or recommendation. There's a fiduciary little local chapter, I think in a week or two, thinking about attending. Any recommendations, any feedback on, how to approach fiduciaries there?
Same way I would approach an attorney.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm here as a vendor. I provide a kind of a do-it-all service, a gopher service, a concierge service, however you want to present it, in the probate and the estate space. I'm here
I do see another local realtor already doing the what do you call it? The hosting, I guess, maybe paying for, I don't know, paying for the food or something. I don't know what he's doing, but
Yeah, I'm trying to learn and build. I'm just trying to learn and build some connections here. Hey, this is so and so's event. I would so I would treat it where I'm going with the idea that I'm gonna create Roger, I'll call on you too. I'm going to find 2 or 3 people that I can have a deeper relationship with. That's my big thing. With any networking that I go to, I'm usually there not trying to pitch at the networking event because everyone's shoving cards in each other's faces at a networking event. I don't want to be one of those people that's just going to be one of 1,000 cards. I'm trying to find 2 or 3 people that I think on a personal level I can connect with and have some rapport with and deepen those relationships and build business outside of the networking event. So if you're there, you're probably not going to be there pitching a lot, but if they ask what you do, hey, I'm also in the real estate space. Most of what I do is providing ancillary services in the estate and probate. So I know some of that's going to lead to real estate from time to time. But listen, I'm gonna defer to the host because I don't want to step on his toes at his event.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
And now you can do some follow-ups after the fact. I
Yeah.
think that you should find your 2 to 3 people out of that you think that you are your targets to have a deeper relationship with.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, Roger. You're really honestly the last one. Next hand that goes up, I'm gonna say next week. Go for it, Roger.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
I did something outside the box last week and had a really good response to it. And it is basically I knew one of the attorneys and asked him if I could come to their office and talk to them a little bit about what's going on in the market and real estate, as well as some of the things that I'm doing in probate and seniors relocation. They went, really, we need to know that. And because they don't get the numbers like I get every week, and they don't see the numbers of real estate, it's important for them to know as they go through for not only for their own personal buys and sells that they have in their investment portfolio, but it was basically I covered average sales price, market, what's turning, what the days on the market is, and what the absorption rates are, and that we're still getting in my market. I'm in a small market compared to some of you guys. I've got Washington, Northwest Arkansas, and Washington County, Benton County, and we have a population of about 500,000, and so it's really kind of expanding every day, 23, 30, 32 people per day moving into the Northwest Arkansas area. Show some of those stats, and they see them somewhere, but I confirmed what they had already heard somewhere else. Also talked a little bit about my probate business and a little bit about the NAR settlement, because they knew something, but they didn't know the details of it, and how we're making adjustments within the state on our forms and stuff like that. They really appreciated it. I got to meet their estate planner and their probate attorneys in there, and we're expecting to have follow-up conversations about that. And of course, I talked about my probate business, and they had never they were. I was on their map with one probate out of that attorney's office 2 years ago, and it was exceptional. And he. There's a lot of it was involved, and they said we need to get you back up here in another 6 months and update, and started a dialogue with the estate planner and the probate guy, and they wanted to do that, and they're looking forward to perhaps me sponsoring something at the public library with an estate planning program and providing information, and it was a pretty good response, and moving forward with that. I'll probably do it again with another attorney firm that's got something in the neighborhood of around 10 to 15 attorneys in there. I've catered it with Chick-fil-A, and everybody just loves Chick-fil-A. You can't find anybody that hates it, and it was a pretty good response, and it's a good way to get friendly with an entire attorney firm.
Amazing. Great idea. Thanks for sharing that. I think that that's something that a bunch of you guys should go do. So good job, Roger. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else interested in that? Go try to put something together this week. You can do it with attorneys' offices that you don't know. If you know an attorney that's working in one of these firms, it's really easy in because they probably have meetings and they most likely accept sponsors for those meetings. So thanks, Roger. Appreciate you. And guys, that does it for today. This was the Estate Professionals Mastermind. If you are not certified, you're looking to get into the probate space, jump over to probatemastery.com. Would love to have you get certified with our course. There's also an area there to book a strategy and discovery call with me. So I'm doing those for free. If someone is kind of curious as to where to get started, wants to get a little bit of strategy as you kick off into the business, that's on the website too. But I really appreciate everybody being here. See you guys same time next week. And if you're going to role play tomorrow, it's at 12:30 Eastern time. Be on the lookout for the Zoom link in email. See you later.